Welcome to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Wednesday, November 22nd. Over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we have had some new precipitation across the Great Basin, especially in the higher terrain. Most of these areas have still seen below normal precipitation, but some areas of Utah, especially in the higher terrain, have seen near to above normal precipitation. And there have been some new snowfall amounts in the Sierra as well as up into parts of Idaho. Over the last 72 hours, we did have new snowfall across the eastern half of the Great Basin, with the heavier amounts in the central and northern Utah mountains. Otherwise, our snow depth is indicated on the right, and you can see from the current snowpack percentages that most areas of Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah are still below normal for the time of year. And Nevada, with the recent storm system that moved through, is near normal for the time of year in the higher terrain. Our satellite loop from this morning shows high pressure dominating off the Baja and California coast, but we do have a trough of low pressure moving across the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies, and you can see the cold front off the northwest coast. This will be moving through here over the next 24 to 36 hours, bringing us additional precipitation to parts of the Great Basin. So for later today, that cold front moves into northern areas, so we will see precipitation later today and tonight moving across Idaho, mostly in the form of snowfall, even down in some of the lower elevations. Ventilation index with the ridge in place and the cold front approaching, really no strong winds out ahead of this front, so we will have poor dispersion region-wide. Transport winds will generally be light, and our mixing heights will be low. Looking at temperatures and relative humidity for today, you can see temperatures will be dropping up north into Idaho with highs only in the 30s and 40s. And further south, highs will be mainly in the 40s and 50s, with the exception of the far southern areas of Nevada and the Arizona Strip. Otherwise, relative humidity will be below 20% over parts of southern areas, but otherwise above 30 or 40%. As we move through Thursday, this cold front does track across the Great Basin, so we will continue to have precipitation tonight, going into tomorrow and through tomorrow, mainly over the eastern half of the Great Basin. Mostly drier conditions over southern and western Nevada into the Sierra, although can't rule out a few light snow showers. Dispersion will improve as the cold front moves through over parts of Idaho and western Nevada and remain poor further east. Transport winds will be picking up, especially on the backside of this cold front, so we will have breezy north to northwest winds over parts of Idaho into northern Nevada going into tomorrow. This will improve mixing heights across the Great Basin. Temperatures will be cooling, so again we will see a drop in temperatures, but only by about 5 to 7 degrees, so highs in the 40s and 50s, with the exception of the 30s in the far north. And then relative humidity will be increasing significantly as the precipitation obviously moves through, and with the colder temperatures behind the cold front. By Friday, this cold front swings into the Rockies, but it will still be producing precipitation over parts of eastern Idaho into Wyoming and Utah, so still lingering showers going through the holiday and into Friday. Dispersion will be kind of a mixed bag. We will have some wind flow, so this will improve dispersion in some areas, but some of the lighter wind flow areas will see poor dispersion. So generally light to moderate winds across the Great Basin and mixing heights in the low to low end moderate range. Temperatures will see more of a decline on Friday as this cold front does move through the region, so we will see highs only in the 30s and 40s over much of the Great Basin with the exception of the far south, and relative humidity will be above 30 or 40% in most areas with the exception of far southern Nevada. 3-day precipitation you can see here, so obviously the heavier amounts will be into parts of Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah, especially in the northern or in the upper elevations, but we will see that snowfall drop down to the valley floors in many areas with these colder temperatures. So again, for the holiday, looking at certainly some new snowfall across much of the eastern half of the Great Basin. Still some drier spots over western and southern Nevada. Can't rule out a few showers, but certainly nothing noteworthy with respect to amounts. As we move into the weekend, we will see this system exiting to the east and a stronger ridge of high pressure building off the west coast, so we will see drier conditions, probably plenty of inversions, so still cold temperatures going through the weekend, and with those valley inversions, especially with any areas that see new snowfall, will be significant going through the weekend. Otherwise, dispersion will still remain good with the gustier winds behind the front over parts of Nevada and Utah. By Sunday, again, we will continue to see this ridge off the west coast, still some troughing over southern areas of the Great Basin for some breezier east winds over the southern half of the region, which will keep dispersion higher, otherwise poor dispersion further north. Similar conditions on Monday and Tuesday. Precipitation going through the weekend. Again, we will see drier conditions, maybe still some lingering showers and near the Colorado border. And then drier conditions going into the early and mid part of next week. And here is the 7-day total. Again, most of that will be happening here in the next few days as that cold front moves through. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from the end of November into the first week of December, shows generally warmer and drier conditions for the Great Basin. We will have some precipitation kind of skirting the western and southern edges, but for the most part, looking for drier conditions across the Great Basin. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.